Hello, I am Dave Mack and welcome to my TEW 9 series, a new era of wrestling, a 1992 look at the WWF. We are on our WWF Superstars of Wrestling go-home show before the Royal Rumble, so we're going to be diving straight in on this one today as we see what's going to be happening, building up for matches for the Rumble, and obviously our big 30-man Rumble where we have the winner becoming the champion. So lots to be decided at that pay-per-view. Just a quick one here, we've got the booking analysis. Not so happy, I am booking the Texas Tornado against Colonel Mustafa in a pre-show match, and Colonel Mustafa, who is out the door, is not very happy with the results, so we're not too worried about that. But if we're going to dive straight in on this one and see how we get on. So in our results, which is being held in the Los Angeles Memorial Sports Arena in front of 13,365 people, we have our first dark match, which is the Big Boss Man versus Barry Horowitz. In a pre-show bout that had decent reaction from the crowd but subpar wrestling, the Big Boss Man defeated Barry Horowitz in 11 minutes and 47 seconds with a Boss Man Slam. That is to get a segment rating of 61. That's really good news because the Big Boss Man is getting a bit of a push. He should be a fairly big player as far as things are going forward. So yeah, quite excited about what we can get with him. So that's really good news. Up next we have Texas Tornado against Colonel Mustafa, who doesn't have a nice picture because basically Sheiky Baby is on his way out. Subpar wrestling, but a decent reaction from the crowd. The Texas Tornado, who I do have some plans for, won in 11 minutes and 42 with the Tornado Punch. The problem we have down here is obviously the Texas Tornado is off his game and he is going through some personal issues. So we're really kind of hoping that we can power through those and they won't be so crippling for him going forward, because I would like to push Kerry Von Erich a little bit, but obviously we know he's got a lot of issues in real life he had around this time, so hoping we could do something a little bit different with him there and see how that gets on. We then have Powers and Hart, which is Jim Howard and Owen Hart against Michaels, Shawn Michaels and Rick the Model Martell. In a pre-show bout that had decent wrestling but not much heat, that's a surprise. Michaels and Martell beat Powers and Hart in 12 minutes 45 seconds when Rick the Model submitted Jim Powers and Boston Crab. The match was designed to work the crowd. Jim Powers was the weak link, which is a shame. For a segment rating of 64, that's alright. Jim Powers with a 40 performance. Not so good when you got Owen at 61, Rick the Model at 69 and Shawn Michaels at 66. Jim Powers and Owen have a good chemistry together, well, excellent chemistry together, so that's why I've kind of paired those up. I find that randomly, so they're going to kind of carry on with that there. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. We'll go from there, and hopefully that'll be a little bit better for moving forward. But other than that, let's dive into the main show.
Ladies and gentlemen, I never thought I'd be saying this, but we've got a major controversy heading into the 1992 Royal Rumble here at Titan Towers. Just when you thought you'd seen it all in the World Wrestling Federation, it has been confirmed by WWF President Jack Tunney that someone was caught trying to buy the number 30 entry in the Royal Rumble match. And that man is none other than the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. DiBiase, your money might buy luxury, but it will not buy you championship gold. Jack Tunney has laid down the law. You are banned from competing in this year's Royal Rumble match. But justice doesn't end there, folks, because joining me right now is the man who says crime in the WWF never goes unpunished, the lawman himself, the Big Boss Man.
DiBiase, you think you can buy your way into a title shot? You think your cash makes you untouchable? Not on my watch, boy. You broke the rules, and now you're going to pay the price. Jack Tunney's banned you from the Rumble, but I'm taking it a step further. At the Royal Rumble, you're stepping in the ring with the law. You tried to steal a shot at the WWF title? Well, now you're getting a shot straight for the Big Boss Man's fist. Justice will be served, DiBiase. I'll show you and the whole world that no man, no matter how rich, is above the law.
Powerful words from the Big Boss Man. The $1 Million Man thought he could buy glory, but at the Royal Rumble, he will get his just desserts, a beatdown from Cobb County's finest. Stay tuned, folks. This Royal Rumble is shaping up to be one for the ages.
And there we have it. Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man, trying to buy the number 30 number. Shock, horror. We have the big boss man who comes in there with Mean Gene Oakland to basically say, not on my watch, Ted DiBiase. We are not having that. And we get a 73 rating to kick the show off there, which is really good. And we have set up another match for the Royal Rumble, which will be the big boss man versus the $1 Million Man, where justice will be served, we're hoping. So that's a really good match to be getting on the card, because these are two really high up on the card. But guys, I didn't really want just going in the Royal Rumble to lose. So I'm kind of interested to see what we can do with there. And hopefully the boss man, he's got a lot of under creative. He is meant to be one of our up and coming stars, so here's hoping he can do a good job on these pay-per-views and we can really give him a bit of a push. Up next we have the British Bulldog versus Hercules, in a bout that had decent reaction from the crowd but subpar wrestling. The British Bulldog defeated Hercules in 9 minutes and 15 with a running power slam. The match was designed to tell a bit of a specific story. The story we're telling here is just about unhappy Hercules, really. That's not much of a storyline at this moment in time, but it will become one shortly after the Royal Rumble. We got a segment rating of 58. The Bulldog with a 59. That's really good for him. I'm quite pleased for Davey Boy Smith there with his nice cute little Bulldog that he's got. And we've got Hercules with a 41. That's a little bit disappointing. Hercules, I was hoping, would push a little bit more than that, but we shall see. Up next we have Marty Janetti versus Jake the Snake Roberts, and in a decent match, Jake the Snake beat Marty Janetti in 11 minutes and 42 with a DDT for a segment rating of God's number 69. Marty Janetti with a 56, which is pretty good for him. I quite like him down there in that mid-card kind of area. He's never going to be a real top star. He's not quite got the charisma or any of the kind of mic skills that we need. However, he's a pretty decent hand in the ring, and I've recently asked him to knock the drugs on the head, knock the drinking and the smoking on the head, and he was like, yeah, fine, we'll do that. So Marty Jannetty's kind of living a bit of a clean lifestyle at the moment, so I'd like to push him up there because he can go with most people, so that's really good. And Jake Roberts with a 67. I ideally would have hoped a little bit higher from Jake. I'd like to push Jake Roberts, but we want to be seeing people in the 70s really with their in-ring performance. We'll let that go. Vinnie Mac and Bobby the Brain Heenan, good chemistry. Well, there you go. What a surprise. And then we move into our next promo.
They never see it coming, do they? The Hulk Hogans, the Ric Flairs, the Sid Justices of the world, they're all looking up at each other, at the spotlight, at the crown, but they forget what's slithering beneath them in the dark. They talk about the Royal Rumble like it's a war among giants, titans colliding. But what they don't realize is it's always the one you least expect, the one who moves in silence, who strikes when the others are weak and distracted, that walks away with the prize. You all forgot about me. That was your first mistake. And at the Royal Rumble, it'll be your last. When that bell rings, the snake enters the ring, and one by one they'll all fall, not with thunder, not with flash, but with fear, with doubt, with a whisper of cold, cruel reality. Because the truth is, I don't need 24-inch pythons. I carry one. I will win the 1992 Royal Rumble. I will become WWF Champion. Not because I scream the loudest, but because when the lights dim, when the chaos settles, the last man standing is always the one you never saw coming.
And there we have it, Jake the Snake Roberts thinking that he can be the man to win the Royal Rumble. In a good interview there for 8 minutes, we have a segment rating of 78, which is really pleasing. Jake Roberts, as we know, is going to be absolutely dynamite on the stick. Absolutely no doubt in that. He is white hot kind of at the moment. He's got a lot of momentum going in his favour, so Jake's going to be getting a little bit of a push, definitely from the Royal to WrestleMania season. So, yeah, not the last we'll be hearing from big old Jake. And we end with our main event, which is a big 8-man tag team match between Hulk Hogan, Sid Justice and the Legion of Doom against the Warlord, the Mountie and the Nasty Boys, which is Jimmy Hart's kind of stable. In a decent match, Hulk Hogan, Sid Justice and the Legion of Doom defeated the Jimmy Hart stable in 12 minutes 31 when Hulk Hogan pinned Warlord with a big boot. Choosing to go with a big boot, not a leg drop, wasn't fancying that tonight for some reason. Hulk Hogan was head and shoulders above everyone else, which I'm not surprised. For a segment rating of 75, a little bit lower than I was hoping, but I think the Nasty Boys, Warlord and Mountie are not particularly high up the card, so I'm not massively surprised by that. But we have Hawk with a 64, Animal 62, Sid Justice a 64, Hulk Hogan up there with his 81. The Mountie's got 62, Warlord 49, Sags 53, and Brian Knobbs with a 54. Jimmy Hart doing some good work at ringside. That's really good. This kind of sets up, this is our last match before the Royal Rumble, and then we move into the end of the show.
Tonight, we stood together, side by side. We dropped the hammer on a couple of Jimmy Hart's stinky goons and got our hands raised. But don't get too comfortable, brother, because come the Royal Rumble, we ain't partners anymore, Jack.
And there we have it. We end with a stare down between Hulk Hogan and Sid Justice, two of our biggest players as far as the Royal Rumble, which we have coming up at the end of the week, goes. And for a segment rating of, whoa, a 91, over the moon with that, really pleased with that. Hulk Hogan looked good and Hulk Hogan improvised well throughout the segment, so well done Hulk there, absolutely fantastic, really pleased with that finish to the show there. We get an overall rating of 83, that's really good, and we've increased our popularity in 29 regions. These rest of these I'm not particularly worried about, so that's really good news there. Our financial report is going to tell us that we are still earning loads of money, so yeah, we're earning about 200 grand per show, so money is never really a problem for us, so that's really good news. And popularity recap is telling us basically everywhere we're doing a really good job. I've gone through recently and updated our kind of TV deals so that we're getting better deals and getting a lot more eyes on the prize in different parts of the world. So we're going to see a lot of these kind of shooting up over the next few weeks, at least hopefully so. So yeah, really pleasing end of the go home show there for the Royal Rumble. It's going to be a difficult one to book. I know booking Royal Rumbles is very difficult, so I'm aware that as a pay-per-view it's probably not going to be the highest rated I can get, just because we're putting the world title on the line, so the Royal Rumble match has to be our main event. The only problem with that is there's so many factors that are going to probably drag the rating down a little bit. However, it's just something we want to get done. It's going to be that big moment for 92, and it's going to hopefully kick off a lot of big stories. So just wondering what everyone thinks. Pop in the comments below who you think is going to win the Royal Rumble. I've got an idea at the moment who I'm going to go for, and we'll see how that works out. But other than that, we're doing pretty well, really. I think it's looking like a fairly stacked roster. Here we go. Here we got Hulk Hogan's opinion. What's he saying? Jim Powers doesn't connect with the fans, brother. He's a waste of time. I'm not going to lie. I do kind of agree with you, Hulk. Jim Powers is not a particularly strong wrestler. But as I say, we're moving to the Royal Rumble now. We're only a few days away from it. Let me know in the comments, who do you think is going to win it? We've got other matches set up. So we've got Virgil versus The Undertaker. We've got Rowdy Roddy Piper taking on Bret Hart for the Intercontinental title. The Natural Disasters against LOD for the tag team titles. And Ted DiBiase, being a cowardly rat that he is, trying to buy his way to the top, is taking on the Big Boss Man for justice to be served in that one. And then we have our big 30-man battle royal over the top Royal Rumble, where we're going to crown a new champion. So who's going to come out having won that Royal Rumble title and the world title in one night? Is it going to be someone we expect, or is it going to be someone a little bit more left field? Let me know who you think in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this. I hope you're enjoying it. I'm still doing a lot of work with all of the characters and all of the cutscenes that you're seeing. They take a lot of time and effort, but I'm kind of really enjoying that, and it's given me a lot of motivation to do it. So if there's anything you think I can change about it, or if there's anything else you'd like to see me do, let me know. Get over to the Grey Dog Software Forum. We've got a chat going on there, which is where I'm posting up written results as well as these results. And also find your way over to Patreon. I've set up a Patreon page over there, completely join for free, but I tend to put a bit of a kind of working diary there of just what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis. So if you want to get involved in that, that would be absolutely fantastic as well. Otherwise, I shall see you next time. Goodbye.